free to put on your video cameras because it's so nice to be able to actually see people's faces and connect with them. Don't worry about what you look like or anything like that. Thank you. And, I just feel less crazy sitting in my office talking to nobody. So welcome.
Okay.
And
Yeah, good.
anybody totally new to the world of genealogy or been at it for a while or?
Well,
I think you might be, so feel free to unmute yourself and say hello.
Hi, yes, I never did this before. It just looked like something interesting.
Great. Okay. Now, just so you know, you're learning about your family tree. You're not learning about gems. So, which is a common mistake for people. So if you're here to learn about, diamonds and emeralds, you're in the wrong place. But if you want to learn about your ancestors, you've come to the right place. So you're all good. So welcome. I guess, let's see, how many people do we have in here?
I have more people coming in.
All right, we'll wait a few minutes for them.
Okay.
And as we do the program, it's going to be recorded, so you'll be able to access it to the library's website that way. And also to feel free to take screenshots, although I'm going to send the PowerPoint to you, so don't get worried that you're not getting all the information. I'll send you the PowerPoint with the websites on here. As I said, this is for you. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop in, ask, write in the chat. I'll get to you as soon as I can, and hopefully I can answer your questions for you. Anybody been doing this for a very, very long time?
Yes.
How long?
Oh my God, it seems like forever, but for about 10 years, off and on. Okay. I don't really have much luck. I get to a certain point and then I can't seem to find anything.
Any particular websites that you use in most of the time, or?
Well, Family Search was very good for a while. A couple of others, I can't remember. I've been off it for a while. I just decided with this program to try it again.
Okay, great. Hopefully we'll find you some.
Did we have a paper and pen ready?
Sure. And again, I'm going to email you all this stuff too, so don't go crazy.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Sure, absolutely.
I started a family tree on Ancestry, but couldn't get very far.
Okay.
I think because I didn't want to pay any more money.
That always kind of puts the damper on things, but I'll show you some ways and some different places to go where you can get some free stuff. So actually, and I'll talk about it in a minute too, but Family Search in the past year has come a tremendous way with releasing information. That's the free website run by the Mormons that has a lot of great stuff on there. So I guess just to be respectful of everybody's time, we can get started. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, perfect. And do you want to hit record or do you want me to hit record?
I started recording already.
Great.
So I hit it when everybody started coming in. Sorry, but I started it already. So
no worries. Okay.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody. My name is Sarah Gutmann. I've had the honor of being a guest speaker with the library before. So thank you for everybody who's come back and for everybody who's new. Welcome. I am the family tree climber and I live on Long Island. I also now work for the company Legacy Tree, the highest rated genealogy firm in the world. So that's a big exciting thing for me, at least. So today we're going to be talking about finding your 300-year-old grandma using 21st century technology. So some of the things that we're going to be talking about, who the big four is in the world of genealogy, what they have to offer, some of their tips and tricks. I'll teach you how to use the websites Cindy's List and Family Search Wiki. So if somebody comes up to you and say, hey, do you know how to do Italian research? No, I don't know how to do that. I'll show you a way to learn how to do all those different types of research, see what's out there, to be able to feel comfortable doing different geographic areas or time periods. We'll look into that. We'll go over about Find a Grave, choosing the right newspaper subscription to you, how to check out your ancestor's house without being a total stalker, some of the best military sites, some niche American populations, best sites to go look at over in other countries, mainly in Europe, some places to go for some extra help. And yeah, and if you have some questions, please feel free to ask, either unmute yourself or ask it in the chat. Now, just a little about myself. I started doing this when I was 13 years old, and I'm 38 now. So that is in the days before the internet, when I used to have to beg my parents to take me down to the library, and I would take a Dramamine to look through the microfilm because I would get nauseous. I still do. I had all the newspaper reels go past me. So, and I also racked up a very hefty phone bill calling the operator asking for addresses of churches, which my parents didn't really like, but whatever. So I've been able to see the huge array of information become available online that would have taken, that things that would have never seemed possible, is really just at a click of a button. So I want to kind of share some of this stuff with you. I do not work for any of these companies. This is my own personal experience, things that I've learned over the years that hopefully can help you. Okay. So one of the first things you want to ask yourself is, what are you looking for? You want to kind of set yourself some type of research goals, because there are a lot of actual genealogy companies out there who are more than happy to take your money. And they will, if you let them. So you want to kind of figure out, what are you looking for? Are you wanting to extend a line maybe back into Ireland? Do you want to collect all the obituaries of the people who've passed away in your family? Try to, if you can, narrow it down to a geographical region that you're looking at, and if you're going to get a subscription based on that area. Now, I have just come to the realization that I will forever, until the day I drop dead, have a subscription to Ancestry. That is where my family tree is. Even if I wasn't doing this for work, I have all my stuff on there. I have found that I also pretty much always have a subscription to newspapers.com and Fold 3. And then as I would go and, want to focus on, the Irish side of my family, I would get a 1-month subscription to find my past. So I wasn't spending all this money on other things. So narrow it down, try to figure out what you want to focus on, even if you want to just pick a month. Focus on that. Maybe you want to look at your military ancestors and kind of pick it that way. It's because that's going to help you save money. And I'm all about saving money. So one of the things to know when you get into genealogy is it's really important to keep in mind that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon faith, really has a monopoly on the genealogy, on family history. And I say that in a good way. I am not a member of the church, but they have just done an outstanding job of collecting information far and wide, and gathering it in this building right here is the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. And actually at this time, I was supposed to be at Roots Tech, the big genealogy conference that's coming up this week. And I would usually probably right around this time be sitting in one of these chairs in the library looking through all this stuff, but I'm not there this year because the conference is digital. By the way, you can sign up for that online. I'll tell you about that more to find out some more stuff about your family. But anyway, what's really cool is in 2017, only 10% of genealogy records were available online. As of the end of last year, every single microfilm that they have in this building, which is millions, has been digitized and has been put online on the Family Search website. Now, they're not all indexed yet. They're not all searchable, but they are searchable by image. And over the years, they will become more available. Family Search, familysearch.org, which I'll talk about more in a minute, is the free website run by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And the goal of that website is they're trying to create this one world family tree. So you can create a family tree and you could put it online on Family Search. But I don't personally like that because you could put a ton of hard work into it. You can really go on and document sources. And then you can have somebody who, not meaning to do any harm goes on there. They're new to the world of genealogy and they've just accidentally deleted your entire tree. And to me, that is just a nightmare waiting to happen. They can also add things, they can modify things. So I don't have a tree that I really focus on Family Search, but they really do have some great resources. The big four companies in the world of genealogy is Ancestry. Ancestry is the paid version of Family Search, which is also owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church. Find My Past is the one, if you have family in the British Isles, you will definitely want a subscription to that. That's a really great website. There's also My Heritage, which focuses on German, Scandinavian, and French collections. Find My Past, My Heritage, and Ancestry all have DNA tests. Now you could take a DNA test for Ancestry, and then you can upload your results onto Find My Past or My Heritage for free. And then I think it's like $30 if you want to see your matches, but that's going to save you about $100 as opposed if you go and you take the different tests. If you buy a test for Ancestry, a DNA test for Find My Past and My Heritage. Now you may be thinking, why the heck would I want to be doing all these DNA tests? Well, if you have family from Ireland, if you took a Find My Past DNA test or you uploaded your results, what that's going to actually do is, because they're focused in that region, they'll be able to show you perhaps the exact town that your ancestry is being traced from. Whereas in Ancestry, they're doing a broader search of you're from this part of Ireland. They usually just say Ireland. Sometimes maybe they can get you down to a region, maybe a county. But when you go for these more geographical genealogy sites like Find My Past, My Heritage, you're going to get a more specific base of location of where your family's from. So that's kind of a cool thing to kind of check out. So before you start doing this genealogy work, you want to create a plan. You want to know what's available and you want to know where to look, where you can look. So the first thing you want to do is actually know what is available and when it's available. So if I had a client that came to me that said, I want to find a birth record for somebody who was born in New York in 1820, I would go to this chart. I stole it from the Shoestring Genealogist website, and but they're all over there. And this is my chart here that tells me about the different vital records that are available in different states. And I can look for New York, and I see that New York as a whole, as a state, doesn't start creating vital records until 1880. So I'm going to have to find a different route to figure out this person's when they were born. Maybe a church record, a marriage license, by a church, a baptismal record, something else that's going to kind of give me that information. And I'm just looking here. I saw something pop up in the chat. 1 second. I saw it and now it went away. Did you see what was in that chat? Okay. Will this be available to watch later? Yes. Okay.
I had it privately to somebody else. I just fixed it. So.
Oh, okay. No worries. Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't ignoring anybody. So great. So this now, one thing that's really important to mention, and I'll show you this in a second, is just because this is at a state level, individual counties often created vital records prior to the state mandating them to. And I'll show you how to check to see when your county that you're interested in started doing these vital records. So now there's two places to go when you're trying to think about, how do I start researching in a particular area? Because sometimes you need more than just a search on Ancestry or Family Search. You want to kind of dive in deeper into the records. And there are two websites. There's Cindy's List, and then there's Family Search Wiki. Now, Cindy's List is made by this woman. Her name is Cindy. She's been doing this for 20 years. And what this lady does, I've heard her talk before. She has just gone through the internet and she has found helpful sites and she put them online so that other people can use them, which is helpful. And I liken Cindy's list to if you were good to go shopping at a TJ Maxx or a Marshall's. Now, if you've ever gone shopping at these places, you know they have a lot of really cool things. You just kind of have to go through the rack and you have to pick them out, and maybe you don't like them and you put back them in. And it can be a little bit time consuming. So what Cindy's list has done here is she has a different categories. Say I want to do French research. I'll go up here. I would hit, where's my mouse? Sorry, my mouse just disappeared on me. Oh, here we go. I would hit France, the F. This is all going to give me different categories for France. And I can go in there and I can pick out maybe something that I'm interested in. Okay, but it does kind of take a long time. I don't really love it. But about 3 years ago, Family Search created the Family Search Wiki, which I do love. And that's a lot easier to use. So Family Search Wiki, if you go to Google, go into the Google search and you go to Family Search Wiki, okay? And then you click on the website. These are all frozen screen shares. That's why it's a little bit weird looking. And say you want to find out New York genealogy, okay? And you typed into the search that you want to learn about how to do genealogy for people who lived in New York. Now, if you notice over here, they're going to give you a whole bunch of lists of different types of records that are available in New York, where to look for them. And as you scroll down the page, they're going to give you the different counties in New York. So say I want to learn about how to do research in Suffolk County. I would click on that, Suffolk County. And now, I'm sorry, I'm just going to back up a second. Hold on. Here we go, Suffolk County. So in Suffolk County, as I go down here, it's going to tell me about the neighboring towns, the borders that it had. It's going to tell me when did they start creating vital records. So if you remembered from a few minutes ago, New York mandated vital records in 1880. Suffolk County did a great job and started in 1847. So I would be able to contact them to figure that out. They start land records in 1888, probate records, which is like your last will and testament, your estate records, 1787. An important thing to know is that if you have the boundary changes, Nassau County was one Suffolk County. So you would want to know that, you know, maybe the area that you were once looking in was somewhere else. So keep that in mind when you're searching. You might have to search 2 different spots for the thing. This is not really so much in New York, but more in the South. You have a lot of these burnt courthouses. They'll tell you if there's any records lost that they know of. So that's pretty cool. And then if you go down, they give you the courthouse here in Riverhead, how to, you know, contact it, all these different, where you would click on finding out the different newspapers available in the area, how to get the land records, some genealogy websites for Suffolk County, like lots of really cool stuff that's available at your fingertips. And this is available for anywhere in the world, which is awesome. You know, I had somebody, when I go to Roots Tech, that conference I was mentioning, I do these one-on-one consultations with people and they sit down and we talk for about half hour. And I would have people that would say they're looking for family in Japan. And I don't know anything about genealogy in Japan, but I do know how to get on Family Search Wiki and look at the resources there and figure out where to go from there. So that's a fun thing to do. Just flipping back a second, if I had wanted to, this is the map of New York. If I had wanted to do some records about churches, okay, I want to learn about church records in New York. I could click on that and now it's going to give me information about all the different religions that are available. And I could click on these and I can find information about where I can write away for stuff.
Somebody has a question.
Sure.
Susan here.
Hey, Susan.
Hi. Can you read my question or you want me to read it myself?
Let's see. You can read it because I have to just figure out where the question is.
You know, you want me to read it either or.
Sure.
It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Ancestry told me I was Jewish with a big circle over Central and Eastern Europe. I knew that I was Jewish, but wanted paths of origin. How can I narrow down the countries?
Great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of those things.
As if we're just gypsies.
Yeah, it's kind of like just following the records. And I know,
two grandparents emigrated from Russia that I knew.
Okay.
Have German names.
Well, it's very common with the.
But I mean, I guess they were chased everywhere. So, but I have no idea how to go back and find others when I don't know the country.
I'll show you one of the Jewish websites to use. So hopefully that can help you out a little bit and help you find the different ones. Absolutely. Because unfortunately, unlike, I'm Catholic, the Catholic Church, there is a central diocese. There is no central diocese for Jewish records, but there are a few different resource records repositories out there that are focused on helping people with Jewish ancestry to find that information out. I'm going to take you on a little tour of Family Search, that free website that's excellent to use. And if you have a tree on another website, you can always download your records that you find and then upload them on there in your gallery or wherever you have that. So this is a Family Search website, familysearch.org, totally free. And what I always like to do is I like to start on the map of where I'm looking at, because that'll filter my records immediately. So I'm going to click on, again, you can click on anywhere in the world and you're going to pop up. And this is a screenshot, so it's not going to do it. But if I was click on this, pretend I'm clicking, click, it would give me all 50 states and I would click on New York. Okay. Now, going into the New York records, I can, before I even get started, there's a few different resources, videos you can watch that'll help you get through that. You can also, if you just kind of want a broad search of New York, put in as much information as you know about your ancestors. But also what I like to do is scroll down here. If you go a little bit lower, you get to individually check the different categories, the different record collections. So if I don't want to look at any census records and I just want to look at naturalization records, something with immigration, I can go ahead and I can just click on whatever information I want. So if I want to look at this naturalization record, a passenger list, I can really click on any of these things that I think are going to be helpful for me. And then it's going to give me a search and I can look at it that way. So now some of the Family Search images are only available if you are at a Family Search library. Now, I don't think this one has the Family Search features added from last times. You can Google Family Search centers near me, and a lot of them also, if you're not feeling comfortable going inside, you can bring a laptop and you could sit in their parking lot and you can be able to access their records. And you'll see a lot of other people, I believe, sitting in parking lots, looking at that. It's in the genealogy world, it's called ongoing parking. It's kind of a new term. So one of the other websites that's really helpful, totally free, is the website findagrave.com. It's a free website and it is run by volunteers like you and me. My children are 5 and 6 and they are very familiar with, let's just go walking through a graveyard and look at old stones. They don't think it's weird. My mom friends think it is, but who cares? So what you could do is, this is an image here of my great grandmother's grave in Pennsylvania. Now, I did not take I've been to this grave. I did not take this. Somebody else went, kindly took a picture of it and they put it online so that I could see this, or anybody could see it. So looking at this information here, I could see that Monica Warner, just from reading the stone, is born in 1886. She died in 1960. She's with her husband, I could see that, in St. Lawrence Cemetery in Cambria County. Sometimes they will give you a picture of the stone, sometimes they won't. You can also do a search if you don't know. You could just search by cemeteries. see what other family members are buried in the cemetery if you don't know their names, the last name, year of birth, really allows you to narrow it down. And then over here, a lot of times they're going to give you family members. Now, these family members are the person who's putting this information, who they believe to be the family members. It is not always correct. So you have to do your own research to see if these people are in fact family members. Now, what also other things they'll put on here sometimes is the obituary, and maybe even a picture, which is really cool. But what I always do every time I find, well, not every time, but most times when I find somebody, I'll find a grave, I will look to see where they're buried. And then I will Google the name of the cemetery, and then I will call the cemetery, and I will ask the cemetery people if they can confirm this information and if they have any additional information. So say for example, the stone is just telling me that she was born in 1886 and she died in 1960. I can ask, do you know, any additional information? Do you know the actual date of her birth and death? I'll ask who else was buried. Do they have a plot? Who else is buried in that plot? Can you please provide me their information? And they're usually pretty nice about it. Now, knowing this information, another thing that I will ask for is, do you know the funeral parlor that prepared the body? Because funeral parlors are not held to the same privacy laws that the state is when giving out information. So say if you want to write away for maybe a death certificate and it's too close to the time of death and you have to show all this other stuff, you can ask for the funeral parlor. You can call it the funeral parlor because a lot of these have been run for generations, and they'll go into their book and they'll give you the exact same information that's on the death certificate. So that's pretty cool. And knowing when a person died, you can then go and you can look for an obituary. You can look for a probate record, which is really great if you're trying to see who was important to these people. Who were their siblings, who was their wife, who was their children, what kind of things did they have. You can get an idea of their possessions. And you can also order a death certificate, based on this information. But the big thing here is just be really aware that anybody can edit this site. So you have to do your own research. Another free website to use is Google Books. Google Books is going to show you different results than Google. So if you go into the website Google Books, you can go in there and you can find books that were published prior to 1920 are free copyrighted. So you'll be able to, if they're scanned, you don't have to pay for them. You can just search through images. Some things that you can find in Google Books, because you could think my family wasn't really important. They hardly knew how to read or write. They're not going to be authors. However, before the days of having Twitter and Facebook, the way that we would learn about each other is these books that these towns and these churches would put out about the members of their community. I have found some excellent resources for my family in Pennsylvania who are farmers, who you would think we didn't really do anything, but their church would put out these anniversary editions and they would interview the parishioners. I have a really great picture of my 95-year-old great grandfather on there, talking about how his family was in the Revolutionary War, how they were founders of the community. And a lot of times these books will also be published showing these people's the vital events that happened in maybe a church. They'll have their baptisms, they'll have their weddings, all this really great stuff that's on there. I found my husband had one of his ancestors came to this country and he put a patent in for a lace making machine. And I found the patent in this book about this lace machine that he did. So you never really know what you're going to find in Google Books. Plus, some people have already done this whole genealogy work for you and they've published it, or it's been published in Google Books. Again, if you stumble across somebody's genealogy work, make sure it's cited and do your own research. But that's kind of a gift given right to you right there. a very important part in genealogy records are newspapers. And newspapers offer an absolute treasure trove of information. So next to me, I just grabbed from inside my bathroom. I have this, I think I need to get a new frame of it because I just like pulled off the back. I have this picture here that says, Mrs. Charles Gadati of Yonkers has more time for family fun because she bought an automatic dishwasher. This is my great grandma, and I found her, and I had absolutely no idea, but she was the poster lady, if you will, for GE for their dishwashers, General Electric. And if you look at this lady, if you've ever seen this before, this is like the GE icon. This lady looks exactly like my great grandmother. And I just found this doing a Google, I didn't just find it, but I just found it doing a Google search for Helen Gadati. And it tells this whole little story about how she now has a dishwasher and she can play cards with her family and she has all this extra time. So you never know what you're going to find on there. I found pictures of my family as they've gotten married, these wedding announcements. My grandma, her 7th birthday party, they did a write-up. This is in the 1920s of all the little kids who attended the party and what they wore and what they gave and everything. And you would never expect to find stuff like that, in today's newspapers. But that is something that was just commonplace. They would tell you about who went to the hospital, who went to go visit their aunt, everything. Just anything that you can put on like Facebook went into the newspapers back then. You can also, this is kind of cool, you can also find if somebody was unfaithful or wanted a divorce, they would put this information about their wife or their spouse in the newspaper, saying that one of my great aunts had an affair with the guy who created Lowe's movie theaters, what is now known as Lowe's movie theater. And I have like this article about her and him that I've come across. So there's a couple different newspaper subscription sites that you can go with. So the most common one is newspapers.com, which is run by Ancestry, run by the church. It used to be free, part of Ancestry, but then they got smart and realized they could charge more money by making it something separate, which is a little bit annoying, but whatever. Ancestry, there's also, if you have family in New York, check out this website right here, fultonhistory.com. It's free. It has a lot of great stuff. It's very like old timey. And as soon as you look at it, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say that. But there's a lot of great resources in there. If you are a resident of New York, not New York City, a resident of New York State, you can go into the New York Public Library and you can send a picture of your driver's license and you get a library card. And with that library card right here, you'll be able to go into their site and you can access pretty much all those New York City newspapers for free. So that's cool. They also has newspapers archives and genealogy bank. Not really a big fan of those ones. But those, before you decide on your newspaper site, you can go into the area and look at browse newspapers, and you'll be able to see what newspapers are available in the location for the time period. So, if you're doing Florida research, you aren't going to want to get a subscription to a place that doesn't really have newspapers for Florida in the time period you're looking for. So just be aware of that. Also, big fan of contacting the local libraries or historical societies in an area where I'm researching and ask them, hey, do you know what newspapers were available during this time period? And if so, do you have access to them? For example, the Newsday archives, which our library has access to online, the Newsday archives are not available on newspapers.com. Really, the only place you will be able to get those is through something like a local library. So that's kind of interesting to know. Some of the things you can find in the newspapers, I kind of mentioned before, is obituaries, marriage announcements, daily happenings, graduations. This is an obituary of my great great-grandfather. Not that you care, but it's my great-great-grandfather. And from this obituary, you can learn a bunch of different things. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it, or maybe the whole thing, depends how I feel. So we have Johnny Vanko, who's a spinner at a rug mill. Johnny Vanko of 18 Fendway Street, there we have his address, was a spinner at Alexander Smith Company, which was a big rug company in Yonkers, New York. Worked here many years. From his retirement, he died yesterday at Yonkers Professional Hospital after a short illness. He was in his early 70s. Mr. Ivanko was born in Czechoslovakia. I have an idea where he came from. He came to this country when he was in his teens. There, now I have some immigration information to look for. He married Mary Subchak in 1931. So now I can look for a marriage certificate. He was a member of St. Joseph's Society, Woodsman. He went to Most Holy Trinity Church, which means that there's probably going to be some type of sacramental records, maybe for him or his kids. And then it gives me a list of people who he survived by. So just from reading that, I get a little glimpse into his life. Plus, I also have, some few leads on where to go from there. Just turn my house off. I didn't know it was buried under some papers. There we go. So those are really important resources. Now, if you've come across your family's address, you can get this in the census. You can sometimes see it in vital records. You can Google where they lived. If you open your Chrome browser, and you can go to Google Earth and you can type in their address. And then you can have, there's like this little yellow person right down here, and you can stick it in the street view and you can plop it in and you can pretty much tour where they lived. This is my family's town in Italy. I've never been there. And you can browse the streets where your family's from, which is kind of really cool. And it's a fun way if you have kids, to get them interested in genealogy, especially too, if you have like these before and after photos and you can be like, oh my God, she chose the red shutters. Like that's ugly. You could do that. My father always does. He goes on this all the time and he looks at, his deceased aunts and uncles' houses and comments on them. But, if you never think you're going to be able to go visit a homeland, this is a great place to look. And I've also looked at some of these places and been like, I have absolutely no desire to go to this because I don't think I'm going to get out of there with my wallet. So, keep that in mind too. So now if you think that you have a patriot in your family, somebody who was involved in the Revolutionary War, and I'm not just saying a soldier, I mean somebody who was involved in it. They could have donated money. They could have been spies. They could have signed an oath of allegiance. Somebody who is a patriot for your family. The Daughters of the American Revolution, the DAR, I'm a member of it. It's a great organization. And we have a free database where you can go on there and you can, if you know a patriot's name, you can put that in and it will provide you with, if you pay, I think like $15, their family tree and their sources. And you could trace yourself that way. Now, if you're not quite sure if your family was ever part of this organization, they do have a Descendant Search. So maybe your family, or you think your family has been in this country for a long time. Maybe your great-great-grandma's name or your great-great-grandpa's name, and you could put them in their descendant base and you could see if anybody has ever filled in an application who has claimed them as an ancestor. And then you can link on from there. So you would just go to this website right here. And you could search by surnames. Now it is private up to your grandparents or a person's grandparents. So say, for example, somebody wanted to do a search on let me back that up a second. Actually, I'm not even going to go into that because it's really confusing. I'll save that for another time. But anyway, you could do a search that way. Just know that your grandparents, their names would not be seen because of like privacy laws, but a great grandparent after that could be seen. Military records, if you're interested in looking at those, the websites, Fold 3, also run by Ancestry, is really great. They have draft records, and a draft record is actually one of the hidden gems of where you would find somebody's birth town in another country, because they were writing this themselves, and oftentimes this is where they would record what town they were from. in another country. So that's pretty cool. They also have things like people's military services. They have, just looking at the time, see how much time I had to get into the story, where people were buried, their information on that. So you can go in and you can poke around and see that. Now, this stuff is also available on the National Archives website, but it really isn't as user-friendly. But you can get military records from the National Archives. But, you know, if you want to just maybe set a month aside where you're paying, I don't know how much it is, maybe $15, you know, and get a subscription, a full 3, it's a lot easier to access it via this way. This is also if you have people who have been involved in the Civil War. One of the best places, one of the best resources for that is to look for the widow's pension, the Civil War's widow's pension, which will be after the soldier had died and what was left to their widow. And it will also detail the military service. And you can find that on Fold 3. If you have family who is from New England, definitely check out the American Ancestry site. It was originally the New England Historical Genealogy site. Now it's the American Ancestors, because they do cover people from all over America. This really is a must for people who can trace or believe they can trace their family back to the Mayflower. That Mayflower Society will always refer people back to this website to get information. And they have both free and paid subscription. And this is one of those websites that is constantly improving itself. And again, like, I don't work for them. This is just things that I've learned. But this is a really good website, and they do have a lot of free stuff that you can check out. And then if you want to go deeper, you can always, you know, pay a few bucks and get a month subscription. If you have African American research that you would like to conduct, there's a few different sites for that. Enslavedpeople.org, African Genes, and African Map. There's actually this new thing that's coming up, and I'm sorry I don't have it written down because I had just heard about it a few weeks ago. There is a new slave, it sounds so weird to say, there's a new slave database, and they've taken slaves, not just African slaves, but also slaves like Irish slaves. And you can research that information. This website has just launched in December. So that's kind of a new thing that's come down the pike that I believe is going to be talked more about at Roots Tech, which is online, that you can check out and maybe hear some more about. And if you have Jewish research, Jewish ancestry, jewishgen.org would be your first stop. And they have a lot of they have free intro classes that you can check out. They have ways you can connect with other people who have Jewish genealogy. They have free tutorials. They also have a whole thing about finding people who were passed away or dislocated in the Holocaust. So there's a lot of that. And a lot of people who have Jewish ancestry have posted their family trees on this website. So that's a really good way to get back there. Native American research. You have, with Native Americans and African Americans, their records were kept separately up until really 1870. After 1870, they start appearing in our regular collections. But they do have their own directories, which is right here, that you can check out. I've heard the Cherokee took really good records. So you can check out all these things that I will send to you. Now, hopping over the pond for a bit, couple of countries you might be interested in is the first, we'll start with the British Isles. As I mentioned earlier, the website Find My Past is fantastic for British research. Now, with a lot of these places in the British Isles, just as other places in Europe, the names have changed over the years. And you can go to this website, it's a gazetteer, and you can check out the different names and see if it was something before or if it is something now, and the border changes. So you can check out that way. You can also check out if you have Scottish ancestry, the website Scotland's People, which I'm super jealous of people who do have Scottish ancestry because I heard it's phenomenal and really easy to do. So Scotland's People, you can get a subscription to that. There's the National Archives of Ireland, and I'm just in the process right now of creating a Irish program for people who have Irish roots. And really kind of diving into that more because I've discovered over the last few weeks there are actually a lot more websites for Irish genealogy, even though their archives actually got bombed in the 1920s, and a lot of their records are destroyed. For Canada, you have the Library and Archives of Canada and the Archives Canada site, which sounds very similar, but they do offer different things. So that's somewhere to look. And I was always, you know, it's funny because I would consider myself like a mixture of different ethnicities. And as I've been doing these programs, I realize, oh, wow, I don't have a lot of these other places that other people are interested in. And Canada is one of these places that I don't have anybody, but I have found that a lot of other people do. Italian research, that's one of my favorites. I'm a dual Italian citizen. And for my librarian friend who was saying she has a daughter who's doing some Italian research, this is the website for the Italian archives. This is a totally free website. It is in Italian, but don't get scared because after you start looking at words, you'll realize that, you know, some of them are the same and you'll be able to pick out keywords, and a lot of it is in English as far as the instructions go. But you can go, you have to know the exact village that your family is from. And this is a really great website. It's another one of the gazetteers, and you can put in the actual town. If you find the actual town that your family's from, go to this website and it's going to give you the address of the churches in that town. It'll give you the website for the town. It'll tell you common names that are often seen there, like last names. And then through the Italian archives, they have a lot of them have records available up until the 1813s in there. So you can go on there and they have birth, marriage, and death records. This is one of my family members. And again, once you start being able to pull some keywords in there, it's easier to understand. For Germany, Germany has, if you've ever cracked open a history book, you are well aware that Germany has had a lot of border changes over the years. So first thing you want to do is check out the Myers Gazetteer. Put in the area that you think that you know, or the area that you're looking at, see what it is and what it was. And German records, the big secret for that is being able to know that the church records are really great. And sometimes you can go back into the 14th century knowing these church records. Now, if your family was Protestant, you have better luck of finding them. This is a really great website, the Archean website. It is a paid subscription, but it is indexed. So you can go on there and you can put in your family and you can hopefully find something. If they are Catholic, it's a little bit harder, but not impossible. There is no index in it. So you would have to know the actual village and you would have to kind of browse through the indexes of a particular book. And then for my friends who are from Poland, these are the church records that were gathered in the area that is now Poland. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name because I'm going to butcher it. But that's the website for that. Now, also too, I know it's not online, but the website, the Family Tree Magazine, puts out some really awesome books. This is one of them. I have a whole collection in my bookshelf about the different areas, geographical areas. I have Italy, I have Poland, I have Slavic, I have German. And these are really great resources. They show you the different addresses of some of the archives that they have. It gives you sample records about how to write away to places, where to write away from them, keywords that you're going to find in their records. A really great resource. And you can get these books. They're written, the Family Tree. That's the company who makes them. They sell them sometimes in Barnes and Noble. They're available on Amazon. They're also available on the Family Tree magazine website, but I use these all the time. So this is a really great resource. And also,
Somebody has a question.
Sure.
Yes. She has Obituary and trying to find information on findagrave.com, and it keeps saying no matches.
That's possible. That might be because that nobody has gone into that cemetery and taken the pictures. So it's really up to just personal volunteers that, would go in to find a grave and write that. If you know the cemetery, you're welcome. Kristen, do you know the cemetery? Oh, so call the cemetery and ask them. And they should be able to just give you the burial records. You're welcome. Okay, if I pop back over here. I hate these screen splitter things. I never know what I'm doing. Okay, next area is Scandinavia. Scandinavia is kind of like the dark horse of genealogy world that has just kind of risen out of nowhere and really done a phenomenal job with their records. They have the Swedish church archives at Archidigital, the Danish demographic database. You have a list of the Danish immigration archive. So before people left for America or wherever they were going, they had to register. So they have that whole passenger list there. And you have the National Archives of Norway, all of which have a lot of really great information on there for people with Scandinavian ancestry. Now for extra help, if anybody is interested in getting extra help, if you're like me and you don't know how to read other languages, you could go to the website Fiverr, Fiverr, 2 R's on it. And the idea is that people will do things for $5 to $10 on it. And you can get really great legal translations in most cases. From this website. I work with one person because I help a lot of people with dual talent citizenship. And I have this one individual who I send things to, and within a day it's back, and it's, a legal translation of an Italian document. So that's really cool. You can also do Google Translate. Doesn't always come out exactly. And especially if you're writing to somebody who you really want to sound eloquent, I would suggest just paying $5 and having somebody over at Fiverr translate it for you. Facebook has a lot of fantastic ethnicity and genealogy websites, groups that are always offering I don't know why I'm like speech is slurring here, tips and tricks to help you out. And I've actually discovered it's a really fun Facebook group. It's called Random Acts of Photo Restoration. Again, that's Random Acts of Photo Restoration. And if you have an old family photo, these people take that image and they will clean it up for you. They'll colorize it for you within like a day, and it's totally free. And it's so fun. Like, it's actually one of those things where like you just want to feel good about life. You can just check it out and see how these people are just coming together for free and just making people's pictures look awesome. So that's Random Acts of Photo Restoration. And I've put a few of my photos up there, and they've gotten colorized from the 1880s. And it's really kind of just shed like a whole new light on, what you imagine a person to look like. There's also the Family Tree magazine. They have a printed copy, plus they have digital articles that are released every few weeks, and that was also the book that I had suggested. So if you're looking for a magazine subscription, which the library should also have a copy of, you could check that out. If you're a person who likes to listen to podcasts or learn as you go, there's the Genealogy Gems podcast by Lisa Louise Cook, the Genealogy Guys, Family Tree podcast, and there's also Extreme Genes I have to add on there. That's another one of my new favorite ones. And then there's me. I'm the Family Tree Climber. If you have any help, you can always email me, and ask questions that way. And I do have these one-on-one consultations that I do for free with some other libraries that you don't have to be a member of, and you could just come and I can help you out for like half an hour. So I'm just going to write if you need anything, I'm going to write my information in the chat. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
It's about the DNA test. I'm not sure you can answer it. I had one taken a number of years ago, and my grandfather and my great-grandfather both came from Germany. Yet when I got the results back, there's no German ancestry at all.
Yep.
Do you know why that would be?
Yeah, because it's stupid. The company, the whole thing is stupid. And this is like me not working for them. Your DNA results change every 5 months.
Ah.
Which is odd because they're dead and they haven't moved. But it depends on the database of people who they are researching and who those people are identifying themselves as. Now, for a while, Ancestry, when they first started, they were only doing 12 different regions. Now they do over 1,000 different regions. Now, did you do Ancestry or 23andMe?
No, it was my heritage.
Oh, My Heritage. Okay. So this is actually very interesting too. They have last year made it illegal for people in France to take a DNA test because they've had so many upsets with the French families. But it really depends on the area that they're coming from. And it also depends on, now, My Heritage is a German-based company. Okay. But I was in I was in a talk with somebody from My Heritage, and they've actually had a lot of people in Germany are really against the idea of putting their DNA in. The idea of that is because of what had happened in the past with the Holocaust, people being tracked, that the German people are not as apt to do that. That's one of the reasons why you might not be finding that. Now, also too, your family may have gone, if they were in Germany, they might have been somewhere else before that.
Yeah.
So that was something. My aunt was trying to explain DNA to somebody else, and I overheard this conversation. I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" She was telling them, she was like, well, when Sarah lived, that's me. She's like, Sarah lived in New York, and then her DNA changed when she moved to Hawaii. And then her DNA changed back when she moved to New York. And I was like, that's not at all how that happens. I'm not a science person, but I know for a fact that wasn't my DNA. So anyway, so those are some of the explanations.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else, any questions? Yes. Do you know where you can find the most up-to-date info on Roots Tech, how to navigate the lectures and vendor halls? Great. Hey, Linda, did you ever go to the regular Roots Tech? No. Okay. Well, great. This is exciting for you. If you go to the website, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to unscreen share for a second, and then I'll screen share again. Because if you haven't done so already, I really would invite you. Where is my mouse? Hold on a second. Really invite you to check out, to register for free, to go to Roots Tech Connect. This is really exciting because, hold on a minute. It's really exciting because for the first time, you will be able to, if you don't want to go to Utah, you'll be able to join in and see lecturers from all over the world give information about how to do research in their area. Now, Roots Tech Connect, let me go back to my sharing. Roots Tech Connect, you go online, and it's a 3-day event, and all of these videos, this is where Roots Tech is, like, if you want to think about like Comic-Con, when people get really excited about like what's going on in the world of movies and comics, and big things are released, that is what Roots Tech is. Everybody in the genealogy world who is really heavily involved in this will be having their ear to the ground, listening to the newest releases from Ancestry, Family Search, finding out what's new in the area. So what you get to do is you get to go to virtual events, rootstechconnect.org. You register for free. Now they also have the video archives. The video archives, after, you don't have to watch them live. So if you're busy the next 3 days, don't worry about it. All these videos, they have hundreds of videos, are going to be available till the end of 2001, till next conference. So that's really exciting. but still, I hope you come and hang out with me too. So I'm hoping to throw my hat in the ring for next year to be a presentator there. In the past, Roots Tech has done a app for Roots Tech. They're not going to be doing that this year. Everything is going to be live online, or in the past. I'm just trying to see here if I can get in here for a second. So you would register. Register for free. I already did that. I'm trying to log in. But anyway, this is where you would go to get all the information about the different presenters that are available, to see what's happening. You can, I don't know why it's asking me, I'll do this later. But anyway, you can go on this website and you can click on the topics that you're interested in so that you can join in the video link either live or later on and check that out. So this is a really cool thing, to check out Roots Tech Connect. Let's see. All right.
Yeah,
So,
did you get the other one from Maria? That question. I'm waiting for Ancestry result. Do you have a suggestion about the best level of membership to join?
So Ancestry, to make the most out of your Ancestry results, you're going to need to have a tree, a public tree online, and make it available for other people to see. And then build it out as much as you can. I would start off with a general American membership. And then if you've moved to other parts of the country, you can go with the world membership. Again, I'm a really bad person to ask about this because I would just say go right to world, but I know other people are not as crazy as I am. So you could just start out as a general and just kind of make the most of it for that. I'm just seeing what else. And I think I've got everybody. Anybody else have any questions or anything?
Done.
But thank you for that information about Italy, because I know my daughter is trying to find things. So you have to get the exact town, right, to know to do that, right?
Yeah, and to find the exact town, check out, you can go on Family Search if you want to do it for free. Check out military draft cards, naturalization records, a whole bunch of those things. They'll usually say it. Census records don't usually give the town of origin, but hopefully you'll be able to find it, and then you can go and check it out that way. But if you already know
a lot of the birth records, so I do have the town that they're in.
Awesome. So. Okay. Yeah, if you need any help, let me know. Shoot me an email. I
definitely will.
Kind of direct you to it. So, All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. If you have any other questions.
Wait a minute. Kristen has a question for you. She has a lot of personal questions. I don't want to bore everyone. Can I connect with you on Facebook or something?
Yeah, sure. Kristen, I'll give you my information too. And if you want to set up one of those like one-on-one things, I have some availability for April and we can talk about everything for that. You're welcome.
Somebody else has a question. Matthews, my father was American, married my mom from Germany. How do I get their marriage certificate or info?
Did they marry in Germany or did they marry in America? Germany. I would start with MyHeritage. Check out there because they have a lot of really good German church records available and you can see the actual image of that. And then if not, if they're Protestant or if they were Catholic, you could check out those other databases. But I would check out MyHeritage first because they have like the best collection of the German marriage church records.
Definitely gonna do that. Okay. MyHeritage. Where's that? MyHeritage West.
I don't know if anybody has any more questions.
Well,
I'm done.
Everybody for coming.
Thank you.
All right, and I think I have I think I have another one coming up in the near future. So in April, I think.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for hosting.